Hello, my name is Michael, and I'm here with Patrick and Anthony to discuss deflation in Japan and Germany's hyperinflation in the 1920s. Japan has been struggling to overcome enduring deflation rates since the early 1990s due to poor macroeconomic policies. Money supply was wildly uncontrolled, and interest rates dropped rapidly during the 1980s. Following a period of acceleration in asset prices and overheated economic activity, Japan's stock market finally crashed. Expectedly, overall spending declined as savings increased, thus perpetuating this economic wreckage. So, in this graph, we can see Japan's real GDP that's adjusted for inflation from 1980 to 2003. The dashed line represents the extrapolation of the average growth rate from 1980 to 1985, while the dotted line represents a 2% growth rate following 1990. The solid line represents Japan's actual GDP growth. It is evident that Japanese economy underperformed following the 1990 crash. After years of economic ruin, households are hesitant to spend as income levels have been stagnant as the yen's depreciation have led to higher price levels. Below is a percentage change in Japan's consumer price index between 2000 to 2015. So we can see that the change in percentage is negative for the majority of this time period, describing Japan's economic state of deflation over the years.
The Bank of Japan tried to create inflation by lowering interest rates. Traders took advantage of the situation by borrowing yen cheaply and investing it into currencies with a higher return, hurting the economy. The Japanese government spent heavily buying dollars to battle the yen carry trade. This created a 200% debt to the GDP ratio, which further depressed expectations for the economic growth. One might think that the general decrease in prices is a good thing because it gives consumers greater purchasing power. To some degree, moderate drops in certain products such as food or energy do have some positive effects on consumer spending, a general persistent fall in prices. However, deflation typically occurs after periods of economic crisis. When an economy experiences a severe recession or depression, economic output slows as demand for consumption and investment drop. This ultimately leads to an overall decline in asset prices as producers are forced to liquidate inventories. Consumers and investors alike begin holding on to liquid money reserves to cushion against further financial loss. After World War I, Germany experienced a tremendous amount of hyperinflation, which carried significant impacts to the economy and political stability of the country. Instead of paying for the First World War through an income tax policy, the German Parliament and German Emperor Wilhelm II decided to fund the war by borrowing money because the government believed that they would win the war. After Germany lost the war, they faced enormous debt that they could not afford, and the German government responded to this problem by mass printing money. Germany was ordered to pay compensation to the Allies, and these payments led to financial deficits for Germany.
Graph A shows the money amount and the general price level from January 1922 to December 1924. The significant increases in money supply and the price level as depicted in the graph illustrate the effects of mass printing money. Both the money supply and price levels increased dramatically between 1922 and 1924. For example, the price of a newspaper was 0.30 marks in January 1921, then increased to 1 mark in May 1922, to 8 marks in October 1922, to 100 marks in February 1903, and finally to 1,000 marks in September 1923. In the following month, prices took off and reached 1 million marks by the end of October. In early November, prices skyrocketed to 15 million marks and reached 70 million marks by the end of the month. Money supply and prices did not stabilize until December 1923. Theoretical analysis of money demand states that hyperinflation should lead to an increase in real money balances as the cost of holding money falls. Graph B shows that real money balances of Germany fell as inflation increased and then increased as inflation fell. The increase in real money balances was not immediate. Either the adjustment of real money balances to the cost of holding money is a gradual process, or it took time for the people in Germany to believe that inflation has ended, so that expected inflation fell more gradually than actual inflation. Fiscal issues caused the German hyperinflation, and a fiscal reform fixed it. Government employees were cut by 1/3, and reparation payments were temporarily suspended and then later reduced. A new central bank, the Rentenbank, replaced the Bank and was committed to refrain from finance government activity by printing money. Costs of expected inflation include shoe leather costs, menu costs, costs of relative price variability, tax distortions, and the inconvenience of making inflation corrections. Costs of unexpected inflation include the arbitrary redistribution of wealth among individuals. Benefits to inflation include the relief of tension from downward nominal wage rigidity problems, and it also helps the economy escape liquidity trap. And with that, we thank you for your time.